Hello, everybody. Welcome back to The Counterpoint. I might be a little bit rusty here because it's the first live I've done in about 4 or 5 days, I think, which for me and Joe is criminally too long, to be honest with you. So it's a bit weird getting back on here and not doing reaction videos walking around the northeast of England. Someone who resides in the northeast of England is my counterpart partner. It is Joe Wainman, back off his Malaga holiday, which is still trying to find that tan. But he is there. He is waiting with me.
Just because you use tinted moisturiser, bro. Don't come for me.
He knows the secret, the bastard. How you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, good, mate. Refreshed, recuperated. Was like, there's not much to talk about. And then boom, we get the Brenner quick little thumbnail change from your end, and I was like, this is going to be a good show because it's going to split opinions, and I'm all on board with the American boy, man. I'm there. I'm back.
Yeah, get the US men's national team accounts back. I want to argue with them all again. Get them all back in. Yeah, we can't wait to see all that rubbish again. But yeah, Joe, big up Joe, 30k. Yeah, Mr. Wayman hit 30k. Shout out to you,
finally.
Mate. Finally, yeah, but it's all about the grind. You're doing a video today, Connor. We're here, mate. We're here. Smash a like, please. Yeah, everyone, the counterpoint. I think this is our 6th episode, Joe. 5th or 6th episode. But yeah, going really, really well. And like you said, it's more transfer news that we've both been covering, really. And the initial video was to like talk about transfer expectations and certain individuals who we might look at and positions and all this sort of stuff. And there's stuff that we can get into due course.
We've got to talk about the return list as well. I'm interested to get your thoughts on Shaq and Cooper, mate, and give you mine and see what you're saying about that.
Yeah, defo. So I tell you what, we'll start off with that because I think that's a good place to start. And you've reminded. To be honest, Joe, I don't think there was anything that I was saying that. I was going to say there's nothing that I was stunned with and quite surprised with, but I think I was in a sense. Now, Liam Cooper is an interesting one. I'm not the same as you. Obviously, I know you're a big fan of Coops and all this sort of stuff. I've been a bit of a critique of him, especially after the Watford offside thing this season. But I think it was a good move, Leeds keeping him about. And the only reason I'm saying that is because I think there's just such a churn right now when it comes to experience and people been in that changing room. And we saw at the end of the season, Joe, the amount of young lads that were in that changing room at Wembley maybe affected it a little bit and maybe affected Leeds turning up on the big day. Obviously, Southampton being riddled with experience, I did think helped them at Wembley. So yeah, Cooper sticking around almost like in the background, not really to play, in my opinion, and to almost like sort of veer himself into a coaching role. I don't mind that, mate. I don't mind that. I mean, what are your thoughts on Coops?
Yeah.
I tell you what, Joe, only stipulation would have been, in my opinion, if we'd have got to the Prem. We'd have got to the Prem, cut ties a little bit. But yeah, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think if we get promoted, he wouldn't have got a deal anyway. I think what's quite interesting, and Joe mentioned this to me yesterday, Joel Robles and Adam Forshaw were also offered deals last season and neither took them up on it. So we have to take that into consideration. There are no guarantees that either Shaq or Cooper actually accept them deals. And I know you asked me about Cooper, but if I'm Shaq and if I'm his representatives, I'm telling him to not accept it. I'm telling him to go and get game time. The lad needs to play at 24-year-old, but we'll chat about that in due course, I guess. But with Cooper, it's a dilemma, mate, for him because you either stay for your 10 years, get your testimonial, see Leeds United potentially get promoted back to the Premier League, or you leave on a high, or you go and play football. And it depends what he wants, because he could do another year at Leeds and then not get another new deal, whereas like Ayling did, he's guaranteed another 2 year now when he went to Middlesbrough. And they have to factor these things in because he's coming to the end of his playing career, because he's got family, he's got, bills to pay and all that sort of stuff. So all this has to come into it. But yeah, from a playing standpoint, he'll be expected not to play. He'll be... I mocked Conor Cody last season at Leicester for, telling jokes and playing card tricks because he never played. And Cooper will have a similar sort of role, really. But you are right, we have a dearth of experience within the squad. So having him around the place is huge, especially, I know people might see it cringy or whatever, but what it means to be Leeds, there's no other player at that club that knows it more than him, having been here almost a decade now. Having seen the shit, the good, and the good, the bad, and the ugly, and all that sort of stuff. So it's great to have him around the place. But so what does Cooper want? And listen, people will say he's done. People will say his leg's done and all that. You can't tell me he wouldn't get in at a Championship side. He would. So he might.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think you're right, mate. I think when you look at his career, it's almost like he's not got Leeds in a vice grip right now. Obviously, because we're in conversations with him. But I do thoroughly expect in these contract conversations that he'll probably be turning around and saying, "Look, I want a minimum amount of game time here. I don't want to just be sat on the bench and playing a cheerleader role." And I look at maybe a Derby. I look at maybe a Portsmouth coming up and think he'd almost be perfect there. He'd be absolutely perfect coming back into the Championship after a few years out, a little bit of experience, a proper head within the changing room. And yeah, I wouldn't with Cooper, I wouldn't be, especially system wise, and how, let's say, a Derby or a Portsmouth are gonna attack this season, which is probably to be quite defensively reassured. I don't think they're as good as an Ipswich. I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're just going to be looking to stay up, especially with their squads. Derby's squad's poor. Cooper maybe going in and then solidifying it at the back, giving some key experience there. Whereas Leeds, the demands might be a little bit higher when he's playing, and the players around him will be better as well. So that'd suit him, I think. And yeah, I agree with you. I think getting into a Championship side and playing a few more minutes, maybe on a half decent wage as well, is something he'll be looking at, mate, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I'd even say Middlesbrough as well, mate. I thought centre-back wise, they weren't amazing against us anyway. I think his name was Clark when he came off the bench and then gave away.
Yeah, Matt Clark. Matt Clark won it.
So he could go in at a club like that. People are saying Stoke. Yeah, any Championship club really, but all depend because he's got a wealth of experience now at this level. He's just been called up to the Scotland squad. Maybe he had, I know he's not first choice, but injuries could happen and he might have a good Euros. He take on Germany on Friday. You just never know. So I find it quite interesting that Cooper's not accepted it yet. You'd have thought he'd have been, willing to. But again, come back to it, Robles and Forshaw were both offered deals and they both rejected them in the end. So you might see something similar. I think.
Yeah, and his best mate as well, isn't it? Luke Ayling. Well, Dallas is his best mate, innit? But he'll be looking at Luke Ayling and he'll think, what, 5? What did he get? 8 assists, I think he got. 8 assists in 19 games, an assist every 2 games, which, I think he got 21 assists at Leeds in 5, 6, 7 years. So if he's going at that rate, Joe, he's going to eclipse his Leeds target at Borough in 2 to 3 seasons. So, yeah, Cooper's an interesting one. Shackleton is one which I don't really understand. From his perspective, I'd be looking at it and I think I went to Millwall and let's be honest, he failed. He flunked. Cresswell definitely was the better of the two down there in terms of reputation. He's come back to Leeds. He's not even rotation, in my opinion, at right back. I mentioned it on a video this morning. He's sub-rotation. Do you know what I mean? You've got Archie there. You've got Byram who'd fill in at right back. Obviously, Connor Roberts, who's now gone back to his parent club. But then you're looking at Shackleton, and there's a lot of people saying, well, that's because of his injuries. I don't think it is, Joe. I don't think it is because of his injuries. I think even when they're all fully fledged, fit, 100%, I think he's still 4th choice within those ranks. So I don't know, a Leeds looking at maybe an insurance policy here to if we're not able to get our targets, I don't really maybe puff up the bench like we were speaking about last time. I don't really know what they're thinking here, to be honest.
Yeah, I spoke about this before. It's like, for me, I want the club to bring in a new right back. You have Fairport left back if he doesn't get sold, or basically you've got 2 new fullbacks, let's say, and behind that you've got Sam Byram. I just think because of Sam Byram's injury history, that he is literally a backup to Sam Byram, just in case Byram gets injured and breaks down, because then you have no one underneath that. But yeah, so if everyone's fit, though, you're talking 3rd or 4th choice. His versatility, obviously. Farke said during the season as well, we'll look after Jamie. I don't know what that meant, but, the fact he's been offered a deal, I can't remember the context at the time, but he did say it. He's been offered a deal. I think, look, this is more on Jamie. What do you want? What do you want, Jamie? Do you want to get... Because if I'm his representatives, I'm speaking to clubs now and saying, look, do you want him? He's got to go and play. Surely he is.
24. Yeah. You can't be sticking around as 3rd, 4th choice. That just lacks drive and ambition for me, Joe. That.
Yeah, no, and again, it's that way up of like, look, for me, there's no downside if he says yeah. There's no downside from Leeds' perspective, and what I mean by that is, he's not going to be in the way of any player. He's not going to be stunting the growth of a Charlie Crew or anybody like that.
No.
He's going to be on next to nothing. He's obviously willing to be sat on the bench, sometimes not even in the matchday squad, and trains really well and causes no problems. So there are no downsides. A lot of people might see oh, well, we should be getting better players than him. What? But you're not going to get a better player that's willing to do that role, i.e. basically nothing, which sounds harsh, but just being in and around the squad, be happy to be there. So I don't think there's a downside from the club's perspective. The downside comes for Jamie.
I'm not sure I like that though, Joe. I'm not sure I like that. You've just quoted what he said there. We'll look after Jamie.
Yeah, he did say that.
We're not a nursery.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean, mate? Like, what's all that about? Sentiment FC again, though, innit? I don't want to fall into these. I don't. Yeah, but I think you can be Sentiment FC, but I also think you can separate it quite well. And I think you can come on here and you can take the mick out yourself, and you can be like, I love blah blah blah, I can love blah blah blah. But you can also say, do you know what though? If I am looking at it, I want this, and look, I'd love that. But really, yeah, I think to myself, mate, if we'll look after him. Is that what he said?
Yeah, he said it. I can't remember the context now, but he definitely did say it because I remember covering it, obviously, after one of the presses.
Right. Interesting.
He did say it. Again, someone might be able to tell us, but yeah. Look, I don't see a downside from the club's perspective, but the downside comes from Jamie's perspective for family's family, your family's representatives. Go play football, Jamie, because that's what you that's what your career is. Do you know what I mean? And yeah. Would you be saying, well, if they get promoted next year, son, you're not going to get a new deal. So don't you think you should go start again, like Robbie Gotts has, like Lewis Bate has had to do, like all these other players have had to do. Leif Davis did it. Look where he's at now. Liam Kitchen did it. Look where he's at now. So yeah.
He's someone who I feel though. We've spoken about Cooper. We've spoken about Ayling and stuff being sort of like assets at this level. I think Shaq's. What do you think? I think you just mentioned Robbie Gotts there. You mentioned Leif Davis, who went down to League One, didn't he? Lewis Bate as well, another one. I think ability-wise, Shaq's. There's an argument that he's not on some of their levels in terms of like technicality. I think Shaq would have to drop down a level. I'm not sure he could stay in the Championship.
Yeah, no, I said that yesterday. I was chatting about it. I said maybe even drop down too. I said even League Two, and Joe disagreed and said he could do a job at Championship, but I don't agree with that.
No, I don't.
I think we've seen, when you mention like even Bate, for example, he's going to probably end up at League One. He's better than Shaq, so he's probably going to have to be League One, League Two to resurrect his career. Look, he never puts a foot wrong. He comes on, he 6 out of 10, but is his 6 out of 10 of the required level? I would argue not. So yeah, I feel harsh though me saying it because obviously Jamie loves Leeds and he's one of our own and all that. I do feel harsh saying it, mate. I can't lie to you, but yeah, if we're looking to progress, then he didn't get game time last season. He won't get game time this season. So yeah, I don't. Like Cliff says, Shaq's been offered a new contract to safeguard. What valuation? He's free. Like, there's no valuation. And even if he wasn't free, there's no valuation attached to Jamie anyway. You're getting about $500,000.
Yeah, you are. Gary says, love you both. Hello, Joe. Listen, players come and go. Fans are forever, always. Remember, side before self with Coops. Many these days, can you say 10 years? Right, okay. Yeah. No, you're right, Gary. I know what you're saying there, mate. You're saying, how many players are like Cooper anymore.
Can I ask you a question,
bro? Breed. Go on, mate. Yeah.
So you're Liam Cooper. You have the opportunity to stay for one more year and get your testimonial and clock up 10 years. Yeah. Or you go play. What do you do? Because it's a hard one, bro. Because it's 10 years, like you say. It's insane. Is
that what it is, Nick? So if he stays, it's So is it only 10 years then you trigger a testimonial? Is that right?
Yeah.
Right. That's interesting. Yeah. That's. Ooh. So year on, he'll be what? Will he be? I mean, how old is he now? Is he 32, 33? What is it? I think someone in the chat will be able to let us know. But yeah, I guess
he is 32, mate. 32.
32. It's nothing, is it? There's nothing in the game. That 32. I was stunned Joe Cole's only like 33, 34. I was like, what?
Is he really?
Yeah. So, yeah, it depends on the contract offered on it. If Leeds are saying to him, you get a year reduce his wages quite a bit and he gets a testimonial. He's a Leeds fan, so that's probably going to be really attractive to him. But what if, I mean, we'll say, what if you get a club up north, let's say a Derby. I don't know why Derby are on my mind. But let's say Derby, or even Hull. Would Hull come back? I don't think Hull would come back in for him, would they? But I'm thinking of like if Greaves left, you know what I mean? But if, let's say if a northern club came in for him, offered him a 3-4 year deal.
Do you think they will though? Not a chance.
No.
Joe Cole's 42 apparently, bro. I did think 32. Like,
is he? Yeah, someone's 32 anyway. It might be you, Joe. Aronson is too good for the EFL.
Maybe I was going to say he retired at about 22, bro.
Someone, I don't know who's on my mind. I think I was watching that Soccer Aid game, and someone, was it Jermaine Defoe? Might be Jermaine Defoe. Someone was 32, and I was like, what? Aronson is too good for EFL. Maybe they keep Rasmus too. Saves and buying in those positions. Have a word with Joe using your word bozo. You on the bozo brigade, are you, Joe?
I mean, I've used bozo for a while. There's plenty bozos about. I didn't realise it was Connor Word. I'll stop saying it, just like I say, what was it? I hope you're all doing fantastically well. Yeah. It's now out of the vocabulary.
Shan't be goods for Barnsley or Bolton in League One. Yeah, I see that as a standard, to be quite honest with you. You know, if you ever watch League One just on the TV and watch a couple of right backs, it's Shackleton isn't like light years ahead of them. He's just not. It's facts.
Yeah. Wilshire,
but yeah,
bro, it was Jack Wilshire.
Was it Wilshire? Right, there we go. Wilshire. But guys, make sure you're racking up the likes as well for the counterpoint. Make sure it's higher on the algorithm, so me and Joe get, we get ranked a little bit higher with this show as well. Make sure you're slapping a like. I don't know about your shows, Joe, but sometimes I have 1,000 plus in here, and there'll be about 32 likes. Guys, it's free. Make sure you're slapping a like on the videos.
I don't let them sleep like that, bro. Nah. I'm every 2 minutes. Like the video. Like the video.
We'll get into Aronson in a little bit, everyone. But yeah, so the retain list, no real surprise. Byram, Joe. Byram expected Premier League level. I'd have said no. I think there'd have been a bit of debate on the no at Premier League, but yeah, not for me. Thoughts?
Yeah, same. It's just I think they still might give him it in the Premier League as like
I do,
sort of like the Shaq role in this sort of setup in the Championship. So I'm totally on board with that, but shouldn't be starting.
Drame?
Well, it was just to protect the compo, wasn't it? He's never going to sign it, is he? So I never got it, man. I can only go on what I saw. Garbage. But
yeah. I have to say, I was a little bit more like, I wanted to just see him given a chance. I think it was more at the start, we literally had Shaq at the back, and I think we had Shaq at the back, and it was those beginning days when it was Gelhardt in the 10, and I don't think we had Perot then. I thought, give Drame a bit of a shot, and then I think we saw him come on a few times, didn't we? I can't remember who he started against, but I feel like he started or he came on for a big portion. I thought.
Well, do you remember that game? He was took off at half time, and then Shackleton came on and bossed it. That was his last game for us.
Yeah.
Left back. He was shite, man.
Yeah.
Listen, this is the thing of agents, bro. They were telling us Dortmund and Newcastle wanted him, and now he can't get a team, man. He's at Birmingham in League One or something, right? Or
poor, innit?
Yeah.
Wanted to get your thoughts on two players as well. So obviously there's been a lot of noise around Gruev at the minute. I know me and you haven't had a proper chat about it, but there was loads of news last week. Obviously that apparently Dortmund, again, you've just triggered my mind there, and a few other Premier League. Apparently Leeds had rejected Premier League bids for Gruev. As we know, Joe, doing the shows that we do, it could be agent talk, it can be a load of rubbish. But it was billed in Germany, which is a pretty decent source, which is, it's fascinating how that came out. But I think I went on a bit of a mantra when it came to it, Joe, and a little bit of a monologue on how I think he is replaceable. But then there is once again the counterpoint with that Dortmund, very, very good at identifying talent. Premier League clubs rejecting him. What are your thoughts overall on it?
Do you know what? I think I rate him, but from a business standpoint, like it's an easy flip. So you buy him for 5, you sell him for 15. I did.
Do you get it 15? Do you think it would be 15?
Well, that's what was being mooted. No, maybe 10. I don't know. Let's say we double our money. Let's say we get 10 million from Dortmund. You then can go and replace him with, we've been linked again to Ayo Tanaka, for example, who we originally wanted.
I know. I should have got him instead.
And he's 3 million, right? And Fortuna Dusseldorf didn't get promoted, so they want to sell. So there is an easy. We've been linked to this guy, Eric. Oh, I forgot
Smith.
Eric Smith. He again can play in the 6. So and will be cheap. So like from a club's perspective, especially with FFP and all that sort of stuff, do they go right? Okay, Gruev, quick, double your money, boom, there you go. Because he'll probably be up for the move, going back to Germany and Holland and that 100%, and then go bring in Ayo Tanaka at 3 million, for example. So,
Jamie's saying as well, he's not a direct replacement.
Well, he also plays in the 6. He also
but as well, Jamie, it's like, you've got to really think about the profiles here as well. If Gruev goes, do you then replace him with another number 6? Because Ampadu's going to go straight back into that role.
Exactly.
You've got to, then, Joe, do you look at ploughing that money into another position? We need a right back. Do you plough that money there, or do you go for another centre midfielder,
I really, really want Alfie Gilchrist, bro.
Yeah, it'd be nice for that, wouldn't it?
I really, really want him. I want Alfie Gilchrist, mate. So I think if we can go get him on loan, that's again money saved. Probably going to have to pay like wages and whatnot, but I think that's a really smart move. There's a way that we can manoeuvre stuff about for sure. One thing that I've sort of come to the realisation is, mate, and I'll get your opinion on this, I don't think we go get a 9 now. There's too many options. What Bamford, Pirro and Joseph. Joseph to start for me. But I don't think they will go get a 9. Had we got promoted, they would. But I don't think we'll get a 9, which will annoy some, I think.
I don't think what they've got to do is, if they don't get a 9, they've got to go get a 10. They've got to get a 10 for me. But I don't know if they do it.
And Brendan, though, we've got it, man. We've got the American boy now. That's it.
We'll come on that in a bit, but you're annoying me already. No, I'm joking. But I think it's... I think you've just put an awful thought in my mind now. I can't get this. I'm going to have to do an 8-minute video on it. But yeah, no, I think to be honest, mate, it's one of those things where, like, that's a really good link you've made, actually. We'll get into that in just a bit, obviously. But the number 10, we've spoken about O'Hare before. We've spoken about a few others, mate. But if we're not to do a 9, I'll tell you what, let me flip this question to you and to everyone in the chat. If it's up to you, right, and money's always going to be an object, of course, but I just want to get your initial reaction. Do you sell Bamford?
I would do, yeah. If someone would buy him, yeah, 100%, mate. Yeah. But no one will buy him, Connor.
This is it. So for me, who's the realistic one who's going to go out of that front 3? And if you're to bring one in, it's going to be Joseph, isn't it? He's the realistic one who's going to be gone. I don't know if it'd be on loan, probably. But then, if a club came in with a decent price, to be honest, Joe, we'd probably listen to a decent price for him anyway, because it's...
I think if we got offered the same amount of money we paid for Pirro, they'd sell him.
Yeah, it's never going to happen, though.
No, it's not. But if a club... I don't know, in Holland or something, said, listen, we'll give you the 10 million, 12 million, I think they'd sell him.
How important is that striker role, though? It's massive, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, people won't want to hear it, but I don't think if Bamford did as well as he did for that period, we probably would have got nowhere near the top 2. Still got playoffs, obviously, but we need a certain profile of a striker. I think, for example, if you were to clear the decks, Sargent would be it. But like, especially in the Championship, someone of that profile. But I think Mateo Joseph can do it next season, mate, and I think he will be the number 1. Bamford off the bench, Pirro. I mean, I don't know where he plays. I mean, he could become one of the 10s. I think we'll come away from the wingers. Like your proper wide men in some of the Nonto.
More like
Aronson, Rutter, and then you could even throw Pirro in that mix, And the more we're speaking, the less players we're talking. Like, I'm talking myself out of, and probably more thinking, oh, the club maybe don't have to do that much business, which will upset a lot of people. I hear that, but because in an ideal world, we'd all go, right, go get Smodics, go get O'Hare and have Rutter. And have Aronson as a backup, and that's enough. That's amazing, right? But I think he could change it tactically to see us with more 10s, like 3 10s, if you like. Very narrow, Jesse Marsh. Get him back.
Yeah. Richard said, Joe, how come you didn't get an invite to Bamford's wedding?
I should have done, man. I should have been pallbearer, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
Is that not ring bearer? Pallbearer's a Fuming.
Talking about Paul Bishop, top Leeds content creators. Thanks, mate. Really appreciate that. Yeah, but I agree, Joe. I think it's going to be so interesting how we shape up. We've got to get on to him, haven't we? News broke today. Graham Smith, multiple sources as well, obviously backing him up and saying all this sort of stuff. That Barker's spoken to Aaronson, and the forgotten man will be part of the pitch next season. Now it's interesting, isn't it? Because amortization and all this sort of stuff, like they reckon they can knock £5 million off per year when it comes to PSR if they loan him out. They're not doing that now. And maybe Leeds are just deciding, Joe, that if he has a really good season, they're going to take that risk. And it's more on the slant of if he has a really good year, then we might be able to get a decent amount. We've loaned him out this year. That'll reduce his price when it comes to on the books. Obviously, like we just mentioned, that £5 million's already done now. So that's taking it down a little bit against the books. But if they're able to get some decent performances out of him this season, then are we looking are we looking at the resurgence of Brendan Aaronson? Listen, I want you to give a logistical answer. And I want you to give your heart answer. Heart and head with Joe Wainman. That should be a new show.
No, so for me, I did a show about a week ago called like it was Second Chance. Do they deserve a second chance? And it was specifically talking about Aaronson and Rasmus because they were the two. Because we know the loan deals are done. They can't go back out on loan. It was only Rocker and Harrison that could. The rest have offers. The rest have had decent seasons. Aaronson and Rasmus have not. So they were the ones who were saying, right, would you? Rasmus was a hard no. But now we need to have a conversation about that because I believe the club will have also had conversations with Rasmus like they've done with Brendan. So that could be the next one coming down the road. You've got to think about it. No, you've got to know because no one expected these convos. So surely...
What about him? What about him then? Are we looking next year at a combination of Rasmus Christensen and Jamie Shackleton at right back? Boil my head if they are.
I don't want Rasmus, by the way, but I'm just saying it's worth thinking about it now, in case it comes, down the road. Maybe they're giving us Brendan first, and then next week we'll get Rasmus. You know what I mean? You don't know, do you? No, but on Brendan, right? So there's a compilation, and I know you can. Listen, I know, right? Hear me. I know you can show a compilation for everything, as Jamie reminded me in the chat. But you watch some of his close control, his ball carrying ability, his progressive runs from deep. If you watch it, and this is against Premier League opposition, if you watch it and you don't think that he can do that in the Championship, like... For me, it's a no-brainer. Like, listen, I've gone on a journey. I couldn't stand the lad over the last few weeks thinking about it. Okay, yeah, then you see the little bits. I think his pressing is insane. He'll cover every single blade of grass. So if you're asking him to do that job, listen, Jesse Marsh flogged him, but he did run around a lot. And I know we need more than that, but he did run around a lot, right? His progressive runs, as I say, are right up there. And if you think about the level of opposition we're playing against, it's going to be light work for him. I think it'll be a lot quicker. Like, and what I mean by that is sometimes I think that Kamara can be a bit ponderous, whereas if you're giving the ball to Aaronson in decent areas, he's turning and he's going straight towards goal. He's a goal threat. Like, I know he's not got crazy numbers, but again, he gets goals from where Kamara was. And he can be creative. If you look back at the compilation that is there for your eyes to see, I know you're mocking it, right? But hear me out. If you're looking at the compilation, the amount of assists he could have had for Patrick Bamford that season is insane. Jesse will tell you the numbers were always... they were always trending upwards. We had we were mid-table for expected goals. Listen to the man. No, I'm joking, of course. But there is a player in there. And I give you Junior Firpo, right? Junior Firpo, I said, no, he will not do it at this level. He cannot defend it, not do any of it. And I would argue since the turn of the year, he was our best player. In that whole squad, he was our best player.
Yeah, he was.
Now, Aaronson... for me, could have a similar... Look, he's got to get his head down. Apparently, according to the article, I don't know if you've read it, bro, but he could have gone back to Union Berlin. he also had offers elsewhere and he turned them down. They've also let us know that Aronson chose to leave before Farke came in the first time around. And I think about Leicester. Now, a lot of Leicester players wanted to dip. Enzo Maresca got into them. He convinced them to stay. That could have happened had Farke got in before Aronson left. We don't know. So we have to give him a bit of grace period on that. But he did go. He didn't have a great season. He ended it well, right? He did end it well. He's now said, do you know what? I'm going to come back. He knows he's not going to be welcome back, like straight away with open arms.
We've already seen it online, haven't we? Leeds fans saying that they'll boo him when he gets the ball.
But look at Gnonto. Look at Gnonto.
Yeah.
You know, so you can come back from this. I bet it wouldn't surprise me if Farke's shown him that. You see what happened with Willie? Look at him at the end of the season. So I think
my Willie is very hard Willie.
So yeah, I think there's a good player in there, and mate, come on, let's be honest. Championship, a lot of the teams are bad. Think of you. Look at what we did to Watford. Look at what we did to Huddersfield. Look at what we did to other teams. You can't tell me that he can't cook some of them. Right, I think he will be class.
My point back, my counterpoint is, right, would you be happy, in chat, would you be happy if he comes in, Joe's giving him a glowing report, he's going to win Championship Player of the Year, right? If this is Brendan Aronson and Joe makes some solid points, right? Drop down level. If you all think that Rutter, if we'd have stayed in the Premier League, in my opinion, if you all think Rutter would have glowed up this year in the Premier League, I think you're completely wrong. I think Rutter would have still really, really struggled if we were in the Premier League. So that standard is too high. I think he needed that drop down. There's an argument Somerville needed that drop down as well to really flourish a season in the Championship. So Aronson hasn't had that with Leeds. He's been playing in the Bundesliga. It's not gone well. Where he flourished, there's an argument that that's similar to a Championship level. But my point here is, Joe, if we are to miss out on a Callum O'Hare, I watched an interview of Brendan Aronson this morning. He was at Union Berlin. He said, I'm really, really happy now the boss manager, whoever was in charge of Union Berlin, has put me in my desired position, because he was playing centre midfield. Then he started playing cam. My massive worry is if Leeds United, like you've just said, let a Somerville go, or let a Gnonto go, whatever, or both, let's say, and we utilise Aronson in that position, and that is almost the depth. And it's Aronson, obviously Gelhardt, Peru, Rutter, interchange and all that sort of stuff. That for me is, and we know Leeds are going to be weakened. Of course, it's realistic, but I'm happy with Aronson being back in if Aronson is depth option. But is that realistic? And how would you feel if someone was to say that? If someone was to say to you right now, Brendan Aronson's coming in and we're not getting a number 10, you've already mentioned you don't think we'll get a number 9. How does that make you feel overall?
I think we still need to get another number 10 there. I don't disagree, because even if say he goes with the same formation this time around and he plays with 110 and two wider players or wingers, if you like, we're going to lose Somerville and Gnonto. You're probably going to push Rutter out one side and have Aronson in the middle. You're still going to be light, so we still have to buy another player to play behind the striker. But I would go as far as to say that if Aronson's season goes well, he'll be starting anyway. Genuinely, mate. And look, there has been a changing of opinion. Call me a flip-flop, whatever you want. I said this guy is so weak. I called him Rizzler paper. He'll get eaten alive in the Championship. And then over time, over the last few weeks even, because opinions change. Like, there you go. Becchio's Bulger's just corrected me there. You said that Aronson was a rat and he'd get given it. Mate, I said Gnonto was a rat as well. Opinions change. Football's fickle. If you don't think football's fickle, then you're lying to yourself, is what I will say to you. Because we can all be on here now and say, Aronson shit. I think he'll work. But then, does that mean now, like you, for example, Becky Oswald, you're never allowed to praise Aronson again because you said he was shit initially? No, opinions change, and over time, I actually think he would do a job. Sorry.
Yeah, that's fine, mate. No, I agree. Listen, opinions do change in football, of course they do. I think with me, the big deficiencies in his game was composure. The big deficiency in his composure, and I think it was that final ball, the decision making. I think we need to still have that this season in the championship. 'Cause I think listen, we know Somerville's going, but he was so heavily reliant on Somerville. I felt, like he was reliant on Buendia, Joe, and I think maybe that's going to be interesting to see Farke's development as a coach. How reliant is he on these players? Because next season there's an argument, especially now Aronson's back. How are we going to shape up with that four going forward? Because he's not going to change, is he, to a 4-3-3, although we kind of love that. It's going to be a 4-2-3-1. Yeah, the Aronson thing is really, really interesting.
Do you not think he'll be a success at all, bro? Just out of interest, like, answer me. Like, if I ask you the question, what's your initial reaction to the news? Do you think he can be a success or not? Do you think it's the wrong move? Like,
no, I don't think it's a weird one for me, Joe. Like, I always said, I'm not going to go back on it at all. I always said I thought the signings that we brought in on a technical level, I didn't think he was. Do you remember, Joe? Do you remember it was the problem? Like, here's it's just clicked in my head now. Do you know this season the big issue for Leeds United, mate? What have we always said? It was moving the ball quickly, wasn't it? He really worries me with that aspect of Daniel Farke football, because we don't switch the ball quickly anymore, and we saw in the Premier League that Brendan Aronson keeps hold of the ball far too long. We know that the physicality, the boy's got to get in the gym, because we saw the Union Berlin bloody owner saying that he's not physical enough on the ball. The drop down is going to be a lot easier for him. I think he'll perform better. I think, it'll be, is he going to have a little bit of something up his arse because he's going to be thinking to himself, look, I seriously need to prove something here.
His career's at a juncture, in it. It's at crossroads, let's be honest.
Yeah, I agree, mate. And if he was to go back into the Premier League, he'd get eaten alive. And I think it'd be the worst move for him. Going back to the Bundesliga, would that be a problem again for him? But I mean, Union Berlin was a massive problem.
They wanted him, though, apparently. They wanted him back.
Yeah. Do you know what, though, Joe? He didn't have. I was on look at his minutes. He had 2 90-minute spells all season. So they've got to really, really work on him for me in the off season. But if you're asking me at championship level, I'm looking at Firpo. I'm looking at Rutter. I'm looking at Somerville. There's an abundance of Dan bloody James. Dan James. Look, there's Leeds fans saying that he's always been, mustard. No, he hasn't. Premier League, he really, really struggled for 3 clubs, not just Leeds. So that drop down massively aided him. So you look at maybe a Dan James, a comparison. He's not got composure in the final third. We know he's not to the level of a Somerville and so a Rutter in a way. Long-winded answer, Joe. Yeah, I don't mind it, but I also don't want this to scupper our transfer business, mate. I'd be really, really upset now if suddenly Leeds were like, this is the answer, because then I'm asking, what's the question?
Yeah, okay. So we still need to go get another 10, and let's not hope it's, a way of circumventing that by just keeping Aronson. But I'll go out on a limb and say Aronson will have an amazing season next season for Leeds United. I do think his technical ability, his ball-carrying ability in the Championship will be too much for some of these players to handle. I do believe that. If he gets right, if he has a good summer, he physically improves, I don't see there being a downside personally. Look, again, I'll come. Like someone mentioned his performance at Anfield, and you see him dusting up Joe Gomez and Andy Robertson, and then you compare that with who? I mean, who are we talking about here? Let me just think. What was that right back at feckin' Huddersfield, for example? And all these dead-ass players, he'll leave them for dead. I genuinely think he'll leave them for dead. And, honestly, I'm not doing this for any... I believe in it. So I think it'll be a good move. And... we'll be.
The interesting thing as well, Joe, is the experience factor now, isn't it? Because you wonder. I mean, I was watching this Union Berlin thing, and he was saying he's learned more at this part of his career, and he was saying it's been really, really, really tough for him because evidently he was bombed out for a while, was playing in an unfamiliar position to him, and you wonder now. And I was watching this interview, and he wasn't sort of like bouncing around and smiley, happy, like naive young kid. He looked quite serious, and I thought to myself, I'm not. Look, listen, it's just me taking something from an interview, which you can't really measure it. you know, it's rubbish, really, what I'm saying. But you look at it and you think, being bombed out, you're in a different country again. You've got to have learned a lot from that, and you've got to be thinking to yourself, I need to take myself. I think he's got to take himself more seriously. I really do. I think the aspect, the athlete aspect of him, being an American as well, who put a lot of onus on development in that aspect. He's got to really start working on his physique, mate. Look, he cannot be this 5'6", 5'7", wet through lad with how he plays. You know, we're not talking to Lionel Messi here, but he's got to start physically bulking up. That has to happen for me.
Yeah. And like Matt said there, someone said on my stream, he's been humbled.
Yeah.
You know, he's left, he's gone to the Bundesliga. You know, let's not forget, right? He believed the hype. It's hard not to believe the hype. We believed the hype. He was getting called the Medford Messi. He came to the Premier League for 25 million.
Dropped from the US men's national team as well.
Yeah. He was probably getting fed so much bullshit from Jesse Marsh telling him he were the best 10 in the world and all this sort of stuff. So he's probably have to come from a height. He's probably had to come from a height and be humbled and go on loan, and it didn't go great for him. Ended the season well. And he's now come back and he said, you know what? I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to give it a go. And listen, for all the shit I'm taking or whatever, I can't wait to dunk on you all, because I think he will be a success. And yeah, I just think that the level. Look at Junior Firpo, Connor. Junior Firpo was shocking.
I think Dan James as well is a good example. Man.
Yeah, and everyone was, he's always been like this. Firpo's always been like this. He's just not had enough game time. James has always been as good as this. No. You know, other players.
I think they've got to, though. They've got to. Because I think when your Aronson comes in, Joe, he's in a sense sort of similar to Dan James, isn't he? He's sort of similar in that aspect. Still quite raw. Yeah. Not that composure on the ball, real grafter, and you're going to see that. I mean, it could be a different leads as in Aronson and Dan James being that front four, which is so quick, isn't it? But I do look, Joe, and if Somerville's to go, if Nonto's to go, they have to replace with an absolute baller. Like, you have to get ballers in there, which we know, Morgan Whittaker, as I've mentioned, Raksaki. We look at other, that's not our job to be looking at recruitment. But what I don't want to see, mate, is just workers in that three. We have to have technical ability in those ranks, I think. And that's my only stipulation. I'm hoping it's not just Aronson, James, Rutter, and co. Bamford, Pirot. We need ballers in there, mate, to be honest, in my opinion.
Well, as it stands, right, no one's left yet.
No.
Right, we know they will, but as it stands...
Start of the transfer window today, by the way.
14th, bro, 14th.
I thought it was today. I thought that was for the Prem.
No, 14th, definite 14th. Loads of people have said that, and I've checked. It's definitely 14th.
Oh, right, okay.
Are we stronger with Brendan Aronson right now?
Right now we are, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So it's cool. And if at the end of the window we don't... And he is that, because there is a lot of paranoia and all, and I get it, because people are saying, oh, here we go, there's our number 10, and I hear it and I understand that. And if at the end of the window it ends being like that, then okay, we can criticise. But I don't think it will. Look, they haven't had to spend out, and they've made us stronger by bringing Aronson back. I reckon I'd go out on a limb as to say every other 19 team, any of the other 19 teams in the Championship would take Aronson in a heartbeat. So I don't see it, the downside.
Do you think that's more on reputation, though?
Maybe, yeah. Because he was considered and very highly rated, and hasn't quite fulfilled that. But yeah, look, Farke's improved players. He improved James, he improved Rutter, he improved Firpo. Maybe even just dropping down a level. They did that themselves, but ultimately they looked better.
Where's his best position, Joe? Where's his best position, Aronson?
For Aronson? Wide in a right cam, I would say. Like, not quite winger, not quite in the centre, but just like off to the right. Yeah, just inverted, if you like. Just off to the right. I think he picks up decent areas. He can combine well with his fullback. He isn't afraid to go in behind. Like I say, carries the ball. Like, if you watch when he picks it up from deep, quick turn, bam, and he's quick. He's quick with the ball at his feet. So I just think in the Championship, when you consider,
he's got to move it quicker, hasn't he?
Yeah, and he's got to release the ball right. You are right. He did do a lot of that. As you were saying it brought me back to me going, fuck him, release the ball. I remember. I was like, oh, yeah, shit.
Because it's slow now, isn't it, Joe? It's ponderous at points this season, so we need to move the ball that quicker.
Yeah. Do you think he helps us break down a low block more so than what we did last season?
Bloody hell, good question. I think. Do you know what? I think is a really simple tactic of breaking down a low block, and it sounds really simple. 1-2s, ball over the top. You know, you're playing almost Aronson. If he's got that energy to get in between the line, between like a right back and a centre back, a left back and a centre back. If he's running for days and a defence is tired, breaking down a low block, I think it can be really, really simple. It can be, giving the ball to a technically able player like Joel Peru, who's dropped a little bit deep. Aronson running between those lines and just receiving a 1-2. That's all it is. Yeah. And if he's constantly knocking on the door of getting between a centre back and a full back, that's going to be a nightmare. So breaking down a low block, yeah. And I think you've got to be brave, Joe. I think the problem is we didn't see enough brave players this season at points. I think one of the bravest players we've got is Dan James. Dan James will just go at them. He doesn't care. He doesn't get put off, and he's definitely nowhere near our most technically able player. But you look at the results he got with 14 goals and however many assists. That's from just going and going and going and going at players. So in breaking down a low block, I think a lot of people see your Somervilles and a lot of people see your Nontos as breaking down low blocks. But do you know what? I actually don't think a lot of the time it is players like that who invariably break down low blocks. I think it is your Dan Jameses and I think it is your Brendan Aronsons.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, mate, because they just get on the ball and want to dribble into a space that isn't fucking there, right? Yeah. Whereas them small diminutive, I mean, they're small and diminutive, but they're looking to pass and move, aren't they? They're looking to pass and move and use the pace to outfox them and outwit the back line. Listen, I know I keep coming back to it, but go watch that 5-minute compilation. 5 minutes, right? There's 5 minutes of gold. Now, of course, like you say, you can have.
You know. I'm gonna rein you in here, Mr. Wainman. That they can be a little bit deceptive.
100%. I was just about to say, mate, you could have 5 minutes of me clipped up, and I'd look like a Sky Sports news presenter. Yeah, I mean, and the other 5, I'm vaping and swearing. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Candy floss, I may add. But I think they can be made to look amazing. But just look at the players that he's doing it against, and you think, okay, let's swap that with some of the deadwood that's in the Championship. I don't know. I'm actually on board with it, and I can't wait to dunk on everyone. So it's all good, man.
Is this one of your takes then for the season?
100%, man. I've already changed my profile photo on Twitter. That is it. Boom. I've got it in Red Bull shirt and lot.
Yeah, mate. I want to see what you're sticking with this year. At the start of the season, it was Melier. Is Aronson your boy now? Is that it?
Aronson, that's it. He'll be my American boy, mate. That's the one.
American boy.
I've stuck my flag to the mast. America, you know what I mean?
You're looking forward to the US men's national team accounts coming back as well, Joe. I think we've all got to discuss that. They're all coming back in their droves. We're going to be seeing tactical football manager, whatever his name is, Filippo. He'll be back on it. Gabe's going to be talking about it all the time, isn't he? Yeah. We're gonna have Greg Berhalter mentioned, Jesse Marsh. It's all gonna be back.
I don't know if you know a guy called Mike Lazio. He's constantly. He's the bane of my life, right? Whenever Leeds, he calls me a xenophobe, right? And whenever Leeds are losing, he pops up. In my comments, because I wish I had him on Twitter, because I think I blocked him, to be honest. But I hope he's watching this, because when Weston McKennie were talking about them being favourites the other night and then they got battered 5-1 by Colombia, all I could think about was Mike Lazio. Do you know what I mean? and now that we've got Aronson back and he's saying, oh, none of the Americans, da-da-da-da, and he comes back and he plays under Farke and he plays well. I can't wait to be like cigar time and go, see, this is what your dead-end manager Jesse couldn't do, whereas Farke, the German, made a player out of Brendan Aronson. And do you know what? He'll probably have a great season and we'll get promoted and we'll either sell him or he'll be a mainstay in the team. It is what it is.
Yeah, we had McKennie's mate as well, didn't we? As Paul reminds me of. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Can't
I got
forget him.
I got baited into a what are those things, Joe? The Twitter voice things. I got
Oh,
baited
yeah,
into one of
yeah.
these things, and he was being really American with me, and he was like, I'm pretty sure he did a Clint Dempsey as well at me, and he's like, "You don't know who I am, dog," and all that sort of stuff. And I was like, "Why am I doing this?" And he just shouting over me with his US men's national team mates, and I was like, "Why have I just come on this?" But yeah, they
Mate,
are
go check the
they're a mental
responses to
bunch.
Gio Reyna at Nottingham Forest. It's all Forest's fault. It's all Nuno's fault that he ain't getting a game. I actually seen an account say it's what would he say? It's terrorism that he can't get a game at Forest, but he should be playing in the Champions League final for Dortmund. One of them said, and I went, "Get in the bin, man.
That's it,
Get
mate.
in the bin."
They're all going to be coming back to me and you as content creators and all the Leeds fans. We're going to listen anytime we criticize.
I'm Team Brendan. He hates them. Go speak to him.
USA. But yeah, those lot different level. Okay, mate. So let's get on to the business that you think Leeds need to be doing in terms of a couple of outgoings. Then I'm going to throw a couple of names at you, everyone in the chat. Let us know as well. Just want to see if your opinions have changed a little bit. Elan Mele, Joe. Are we keeping him or are we getting rid of him? What do you reckon from your perspective and Leeds United's perspective?
Leeds United perspective, they'll keep him. My perspective, I would replace.
Okay, yeah.
I think Connor, there's too many areas of the pitch that are needed to improve before the goalkeeper is.
Yeah.
Because had we got promoted, then they'd have probably looked at that. I heard that stat the other day on the Inside Elland Road podcast. George Donahue pulled it out for shot stopping. Yeah, it was 22nd in the league for shot stopping, and we finished third. It's insane. That's insane. Really bad. But they won't replace him because he is serviceable. Let's be honest.
Parker said he's the best in the league.
Yeah, exactly. I said that as well. Me and Farker are like this. I said it at a time where I was getting goaded and losing an argument and just went, ah!
Oh, dearie me. The best in the league. What is he smoking? I'm hoping that it's just one of those things to bring his stock up, but I don't think it is. I think he's been genuine with him, which is slightly worrying.
Yeah.
Rodon, what do you think is going to happen?
I think we sign him. Yeah.
Loan, permanent.
Loan again, I think, until we get promoted. Maybe they'll stick an obligation in there this time, Tottenham.
Yeah, it was a bit mad, wasn't it? When we were having a look at the when it was the retained list, and it was kind of like hit a little bit, didn't it? When it was like Jadon Anthony, Connor Roberts, and Joe Rodon have returned to their parent clubs. Yeah. You're like, I don't know why in our heads it was like, they're going to do a bit of an announcement here. Maybe if they just blocked off Joe Rodon, that'd have been nice. But
yeah, Rodon will sign, I think, mate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of any others really. Ampadu, I think we'll keep him. We'll definitely keep him captain next season. Rutter's an interesting one.
Yeah, I think we'll keep him though. I think I know it sounds corny, but I think he likes it at Leeds and he'll want to give it one last crack if you like. I think this is where we'll be. Like you'll lose some of Il Nonto, but your Greys, your Rutters, you say give us one more year, and I think they accept that.
Yeah, Nonto's an interesting one, isn't he? Because I'm almost a little bit in the middle with him because I think to myself, who in the Prem would really... His stock was high, wasn't it? Let's be honest. It was really high when he came down. There's an argument he was our best player in the Prem for a certain period of time. But coming down now, the season that he's had, does a Prem team come in and really spend 20 million on him? I don't think they do.
No, I don't think so either. I think sometimes we can overgas while things are going well, and Rutter... His goal, I say his goal contribution, that's wrong because his assists are numbers, but he needs to start
scoring 6 wasn't enough, was it?
Yeah, he needs to start scoring goals, mate. And
yeah, he does.
If he'd have scored the amount he should have done this season, we would not be keeping hold of him because you'd then be looking at fucking over 10 goals and over 10 assists. That's like Saka numbers in the Prem. Do you know what I mean? Like people who get double digits of each. So like I know it's the Championship, but it's very hard to do. So if he starts scoring, then boom. But I just don't think he's got that ability to score. As mad as it sounds, I don't think you can train finishing. You can improve it, I guess, but like they just know where the net is, don't they, Connor? They don't have to look. Your Shearers, your Wrights, these people, they just know where the back of the net is. And I don't think he has that. He
No, I
drags
agree.
it too much. A bit like James. I think him and James have a very similar finishing style. They just drag and wrap their foot round the ball instead of just bang, you know?
They're not assassins, are they? They're
No,
not
definitely
assassins.
not.
I think
No.
you look at Somerville and he's an absolute assassin, isn't he, when it comes to
Yeah.
it? He really is. Those
Yeah.
finishes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think obvious. Well, I don't know. Maybe not obvious. Archie. Yeah, bit of context behind that. I'm still confident, but I think it's very, very, very dependent, and people need to get their heads around it being very, very, very dependent on what Leeds do by a certain period. I think Archie is still and will always be quite vulnerable in this market.
Yeah, of course, yeah. It'll go right till the end of the window.
It's pure profit, Joe, at the end of the day, isn't it?
100%, there's that as well. But I think he'll stay. I think he'll give us one more year. And if we get promoted, then we can keep him, unless he has another barnstormer. Because next year he plays in midfield. I think he plays in midfield next year, so his stock will be even higher, I'd imagine. Already, I'm like there. I think about Ampadu, Gray, Aronson, Rutter, new number 10. You could have 3, you could have James. So yeah, already it's shaping up a little bit better, I think. But yeah, Gray's got to stay, has to stay, must stay. I think he gives us one more year, Connor.
I think PR-wise as well, it wouldn't be a good look for Leeds, would it? 49ers coming in, first window, obviously, for the Red Bull lads as well.
Yeah, here's the money for Red Bull, but we still couldn't keep your best player. Yeah, exactly. So
yeah, they've got to be careful with Archie. I think he's the one. I mean, the Leeds Live did a post, and it was almost like, the player that you expect and want to keep the most. I think Archie got 98.5% or something like that. Interestingly enough, Gruev was second, which I didn't expect, but... Yeah.
Can I just? I'm just. Our good friend Oscar. Oscar's been putting some tweets out about Aronson. So I just want to share the knowledge.
Go on. Do you want me to get him up? Hold on.
Do it, man.
Are we naming and shaming?
No, I think they're good. Like, I think they're good. They back up my point. So I'm gonna. I
wonder why you wanted to vote. Here we go.
Let's have a look.
Oscar loves a bit of. Oscar loves a stat.
He loves a monologue, doesn't he? He loves a Twitter monologue. Yeah, if you go to that thread there on Aronson, there, look, Loki, go up. So Loki Aronson's profile fits the Farke system well on the right hand side. All depends on if we can get Aronson back to pre-2022 World Cup level. Worth noting his best performances were on the right, all went downhill when Mars switched Harrison to right wing and Aronson to 10. Goes on to say the potential issue is if Somerville leaves, it only leaves James and Joseph as outlets who can run in behind at pace and stretch the pitch. Aronson, Rutter, Nonto and Pirro want the ball to feet and tend to not really stick to one position. Balance will be very key. He does say Aronson, Rutter and Pirro all like to pick up the ball in similar pockets. Tactically, that means we can overload that part of the pitch like Farke's Norwich did, but balance outside of that is very key, which is why Aarons, Hernandez and Pukki provided. So again, if he goes with that similar sort of style, are you looking at James providing the width, for example, and maybe using... I know he's mentioned there James and Aronson on the right-hand side, but I'm assuming he'd be able to play, across and behind the main striker. So I don't know. I think that, again, falls into it being a decent move.
But I think so. You'd be a bit upset if you were going to get Aronson on a permanent and you just outlaying that. But I think the beauty is the fact that he's our player, isn't he? So I tell you what, Joe, you have absolutely slammed your colours to the mast, mate.
100%.
So, but do you know what? Why do we have to do this as Leeds fans? Why is there this notion that you can't change your mind on a player, and you can't, if a player runs into form, you can't, sort of like support him, or if you decide to go against what you said previously, you can obviously change your opinion and stuff like that. I don't understand why. I don't know if it's a lot of this fan base or just generic football fan bases. Maybe it's because we're content creators. But I think it's just a new social media era, isn't it? Where you've said something, you can't almost go back on it and alter and modify your opinion. It's a weird world, isn't it?
Yeah. Unfortunately, mate, it is what it is, isn't it? And we get caught in 4K. And look, at the end of the day, well, 1080 XP or whatever mine is, I don't know.
Yeah, 4K. I'm not uploading if it's that.
I think, look, and people are rightly reminding me. Listen, I've bashed Aronson. I bashed him. Yeah. And I was bashing him when people was mentioning it before, and I was saying none of them are coming back ever. And then I started to have a change of opinion when it looked like he could, because I tell you when it started, bro, is when we heard that not everyone had the loan clauses. So I was like, oh, all right, okay. So who does have the loan clauses? Well, we know that Rocker and Harrison didn't. So out of the rest, who could come back? Well, I'm thinking Vauban or, Llorente's probably got a deal sewn up. So who is the two? It's Rasmus and Aronson. And out of them, I said I would back Brendan to be a success. And, the club obviously and Farke think so as well. And I know there are other Leeds fans as well that do. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting, and it's gonna be one of them. It'll either amazing or boof. It'll be a shoddy one.
Yeah. I know Joe's pulled up a few ones, but I think Connor does this to get interaction from bites. I don't know what you mean, mate, but listen, me and Joe have been friends for many years now, and Joe will be the first to tell you that me and Joe don't act for cameras. This is exactly how we are as Leeds United fans. I don't understand it if you don't like it. Me and Joe will get a lot of crap because there's a lot of bitter Leeds fans out there and a lot of bitter social media stars. That's the issue. And listen, if we're not doing all right, people don't speak about us. So I'm happy that they do speak about us, to be quite honest with you. But to do this for engagement and interaction, to force things, we know content creators who do that on the generic platform. I can't do that. And I know for a fact this is how Joe is in real life as well. So you are literally getting authentic Connor and authentic Joe. None of this is different in person. Me and Joe have met up several times, been to games together. It's the exact same. Nothing changes. So if you think this is all a game, all an act, you're weird for watching this for a start off. And number two, you're bullshitting yourself, because it's not. Is it, Joe?
No. I'm this much of a tit in person as I am on the screen. It is what it is, mate. So, nah.
Football fans, not actors, is what it is, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly as well. And I think that's why I love fan content, because it's emotional. It's raw. It's not, practiced and stuff. It's just what you are feeling at that time.
Yeah.
And listen, we disagree. We have had many heated debates when we were all part of a WhatsApp group. These things happen. People exiting, people coming back. This happens because football's an emotive sport. And we wouldn't have it any other way. That's why we all love it so much, right? Because nothing can. I was watching Filthy Fellas the other day, and Savage Dan was speaking on there, right? And he said his girlfriend asked him, what was the best moment in your life? And she sat in front of him, expecting him to say his kids being put. And he went, no, when you're talking about moments, he said, I'm my dad, it is what it is. My best moment was when we beat Barcelona in the Champions. Like, you can't. And I sort of hear it because I've got kids, because, yeah, the kids, you knew for 9 months it's a prolonged thing. The baby comes out at the end. Moments are what, like, and we have moments. Like, I still come back to it being at Ellen Road when we scored them 2 goals in quick succession against Manchester United. I know we lost the game 4-2, but in that 3-minute spell, whatever it was, when Rafinha and Rodrigo scored, if I could bottle that, my God.
Mate, I know.
I
think as well, it's quite nice. It's quite nice for us having this chat as well. There's nearly 1,600 people in, and make sure you're liking the video and checking Joe's channel out, of course. Links in the title. But it's nice us having this chat as well, because people don't see this from 2 content creators as well. I will go on a limb all the time to say fans say this, fans say that. Football's subjective. You can have your opinion, but I can disagree with that. But I'm just making you guys aware that I'm listening. And Joe will listen to these opinions. But when we come back, it's genuinely not us biting. It's not us saying, right, okay, well, I disagree with what you're saying, but I'm hearing what you're saying. And I think that message, Joe, is lost a lot. It's always, they can't handle different opinions. That's not true. It is not true.
Biting. I bite. I bite.
I know you bite, mate. But I think with the amount of opinions you get on your channel, the amount of stuff that you'll get in the comment section below as well, I think some of the things which are just too far, you do, of course, and how it's put out there. How people articulate it, and write things on screen and stuff like that. Naturally, you're going to react to certain things that certain people say, because sometimes it's like they've got an agenda. They'll come in your video and they'll just hate you. They cannot stand you. And I think that's one of those things, really. But what I will say is it's not coming back to hate your opinion. It's just you're validating what you're saying. I hear what you say, but I passionately disagree with what you say. That's not handling criticism. That's just giving an alternate opinion in it. So
100%. Yeah. And I'm feeling generous. So Barry, if you want, I can unblock you if you like, Barry. But you've got to promise to be on your best behaviour and not tell people that I banned you because of your mental health and make lies up and stuff. So I can ban you if you want, bro. But just promise to be on your best behaviour and I'll sort that out for you, pal.
Well, there we go. And on that bombshell. No, guys, listen, we do this for the love of Leeds. We're just fans. We're not pundits. We're not this, that, and the other. We don't get paid by the club to say things. I've seen me and Joe been chatting behind the scenes about how me and him are getting paid by the 49ers. We're really not. I am
getting paid by Brendan Aronson, by the way. I am getting paid.
But yeah, I think it's one of those where we need to have discourse and we get all this in our comment section. So sometimes it's nice for two content creators to be on and actually give their opinions. We're fine with criticism, but we are going to passionately defend what we believe in. And if our opinions change over a season, everybody, that can happen in football, believe it or not. But yeah, thank you so much for interacting with this episode of Counterpoint. We'll be back next week on Joe's channel, same time, same places. And thank you so much, Joe. It's been an absolute pleasure, mate. And we will see you on the next episode over on Joe's show. Of course, I'm sure you're already subscribed. If you're not, what are you doing? Make sure you do so. Make sure you check out the video from earlier on today, everyone. It's been an absolute pleasure. And we'll see you in a bit.
Peace.
Cheers.